How you doing, fan bam? This is Chris Mizo here, and I'm excited to share the benchmark results with you about the Intel i9-12900K and AMD's Ryzen 9 7950X. I've done double, I did triple tests because I wanted to give you the most accurate results that I can pull up. I haven't even looked at other benchmark numbers to get an idea. I just wanted to personally benchmark these PCs by myself because I wanted to see and give you the most accurate details as possible. I did give it some traditional testing, such as the rendering test for CPUs. I've also gave it PhotoWorks, 8-64, and I've done other testing such as Blender and many others, and I'm excited to share those results with you shortly. And for you gamers out there, I've also done some gameplay benchmarks. And I don't mean some of those standard game benchmarks where you go into the setting, but actually real-time gameplay, so that way I can give you the most accurate results, especially if you're thinking to getting a new PC and you're building a new PC, you want to know which one is better for you. And I've got to say, both processors have been impressive to me, and it's been pretty close in specifications. As you see here, I have all the specifications listed. I wanted to have these PCs very close in comparison. I'm going to talk over real quick about the specifications if you're not familiar with them. If you're looking into research it, this is really good to listen to because these might be what turn you on and turn you off, especially when you do this PC build, depending if you are a gamer or whether you are some sort of content creator. Intel's i9-12900K features 16 cores, 8 efficiency cores, and you also have 8 performance cores. 3.2 gigahertz of performance core, 2.4 gigahertz at efficiency cores. All its cores together is at 4.8 gigahertz, and at 5.2 gigahertz is its single core action. Base power is 125 watts, and it can push as high as up to 241 watts. The new processor from AMD's Ryzen 9 7950X features up to 16 cores, 4.5 gigahertz at base frequency, and at boost frequency it goes up to 5.7 gigahertz. Its L3 cache is up to 64 megabytes, and its base power is at 170 watts. And this chip can allegedly take up to 230 watts of power. Those are the specifications laid out for both of these processors, as they both sound mighty delicious, especially if you're looking into building a brand new PC. Now, which one do you exactly want to pick over? And it all depends on your choice, because I will pull up these benchmark numbers and you can see for yourself here. To start this off, what I've done is time both PCs to see exactly how fast it will start from the PC's power being completely off. Intel's ran an amazing 55 seconds to load up into Windows 11. Now, 55 seconds is with the BIOS, the operating system loading up, and plus all of its applications or software that it needed to load up. Now, AMD's Ryzen 9 7950X took a little bit longer. It was 1 minute and 22 seconds to load up all the applications. And I will mention on a later note why I think this happened, but bear with me here because I want to get straight to the benchmark numbers because I know that's what you want to hear and that's what you care about. Cold start wise, Intel's idle will usually run about 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. With Corsair's H150i liquid cooler, it is a 360 millimeter radiator. AMD, on the other hand, it cold started at about 60 degrees Celsius, and it idled between 50 to 55 degrees. Now, if you want to know the ambient temperature for the room, it's about 75 degrees. To mind you, I am in South Florida, so it is a little bit more warmer here than most areas. So if you're in a cooler area, it could vary depending on where you live. If you live in a colder climate, it can drop or a few degrees lower because of that. So as you see this in the bench numbers here, now for Intel's processor, for multi-processing, it runs about 97 to 101 degrees Celsius. With AMD's numbers here, its multi-processing reach up to a temperature up as high as 97 degrees Celsius. There is a limit to AMD's processors normally get into its processing mode at around 95 degrees or higher, and when it does, it actually means AMD's processor is working. So a lot of these newer components will take a lot more power. It takes up to 230 watts at its highest point. If you were turned off originally by Intel's and AMD's thermal heat, you can see that it runs very similar, especially when it runs into Cinebench with these rendering numbers. Now, I'm not going to read out all of the 8064 numbers. I will share it with you right here. As you can currently see so far, AMD has been pretty dominant when it comes to the whole rendering side. It is looking great as a content creator's processor here. Let's get further and see what other numbers that we pull up importantly, because I got some Blender numbers. It ran a score of 285.05 to 487 for Monster. Junk Shop is 169.270517, and Classroom is 133.941348. For Intel side, for Blender, for Monster, it ran 191.244253. Junk Shop ran 113.732771, and Classroom ran 89.709883 with a total score of 394.69. Average temperature was 100 degrees Celsius. Power usage was 210 watts to 231 watts. So far, AMD has been pushing some really amazing numbers, as you can see. For Handbrake, I've used the typical video called Big Money for its benchmarks, and it was for a fast convert of 1080p for 30 frames per second as a MKV file. For PC Mark 10, for Intel's i9-12900K, ran a total of 8,978. For AMD's numbers, it ran a total of 9,209. For Geekbench numbers, so far AMD has the upper hand, and we will talk about it a little bit more once we get further in and review both of these processors. 7-Zip's benchmark ran with a total of 135.030 12900K. Decompression was 140.236. AMD's is 214.652 when it comes to total. I have Jetstream 2, which is an internet benchmark, which features the most complicated web coding that there is. For these tests, the standard benchmarks, AMD has the higher hand when it is for productivity use. Now, the next question you might have in this next section is the whole gaming side. I tested 10 different games here. As you notice so far on the test, you can see the GPU usage is about the same when it comes to both PCs, between 97 to 98% usage. You do notice that there is a higher memory count when it comes to AMD's side, and it does use a little bit more wattage. It does use less AMD's utilization. It's about 10 to 25% less. Intel is more power saving. It does use less wattage, so that will save you on your power bill if that is what you're looking for. The temperature is a lot lower. It is between 15 to 20 degrees Celsius lower because of the type of processor that it is. It is more efficiency use. As you can see, that is, these E-cores are taking place for that. But if you notice, it does use more utilization compared to AMD's CPU. It is a higher frame count on certain games, as you see. What is most impressive that I've seen here was Ryzen's 7950X, how it handled Cyberpunk. You can see a large gap between both AMD and Intel when it comes down to it because of its utilization of its CPU and GPU. I've also noticed that it did run into a couple errors, such as when I ran the Crysis test, when I went to give it a try, and did notice that you will get a message if you have a 7950X about ray tracing and DLSS being disabled. Just remember to go into your hardware manager and just disable AMD's graphical part, because it is really a APU here. If you disable it, then it shouldn't have any issues or give you any problems as soon as you boot into something like Crysis Remastered. So we went over the specifications, we went over the benchmarks, we went through single and multi-core testing. We also went through gaming testing. Here is your answer here. So now you probably have an idea of which processor that you would like so far. I do have to say, when I did have Intel's processor and it's a Z690 motherboard, I ran into very little issues, if not none. Besides the problem with ASUS's Z690 motherboard, that was more of a hardware error on their part. It does run very well. There's little to no lag when it is Windows 11 with Intel's processor here. But I do notice that AMD's still has a little bit of an issue here when it comes into operating systems such as Windows 11. And that is not a new issue. It's something that Windows 11 does need to work out here. This is more of its operating systems issues. That is something that needs to be fixed, and I do believe that is also affecting benchmark numbers when it comes to gaming wise. However, the usability of which one had the head start, one that works better wise, I would say Intel is a lot more flawless. As we all know, being the first adapters of something is always some sort of issue. Very minor issues, not big enough for you to really care about, but it's something for you to think about. If you personally like to use Corsair's iCUE, I do notice it takes a little bit longer for it to load up on AMD's system, as it seems like it's still adapting. Same thing with Intel's system, it seems like it loads a lot quicker. Coming down to the pricing here, AMD's 7950X does come at a steeper price at $699.99 USD versus Intel's 12900K, which you can currently get for $530 USD. So if price is a factor to you and you're looking for the better budget, Intel's i9 12900K may be the better way for you, especially if you're looking for the budget side, as you will purchase the motherboards cheaper as well compared to the steeper price when you do purchase AMD's processor. AMD does use its 5nm process nodes, so that is the reason why you are paying more. Over time, I do believe AMD will improve and be more refined, which will more than likely be their 3D series chipsets, which will definitely help boost it. What I am curious about is AMD Radeon's 7000 series to see if that does give it any type of hidden boost, because more than likely I believe that processor does have a lot of power in there. As you saw from the benchmarks, it's just waiting to be unleashed. Infinity Cache. It does seem Intel does have the better deal. Now, if you're looking for better performance, especially if you're a content creator, AMD is the way to go. And I gotta say, if you are a gamer, depending on your title, that will be a tough decision for you to make. Are you more of a first-person shooter? If you are, you may want to lead towards Intel side. Are you more into games like Cyberpunk and GTA 5, Hitman 3, Halo? Those type of titles work very well on AMD's side. You can see how much of a frame difference that there is between those titles. Now, when you compare the other titles, you notice that there isn't that much of a frame difference. You might notice 10 to 20 FPS change over from either processor, but when you compare titles such as Cyberpunk, you can see as large of a gap of 70 to 80 frames per second. This is all with G-Sync off, so that way it doesn't lock the frame rates at 1440p, which is at 3440 by 1440 resolution. If you want the newest hardware, you have the money to spend, then go with AMD. I do believe that will be the better way to go, especially if you're going into the future generation, as you will not be restricted when it comes to PCI Express lanes. Now, if you go with Intel's 12th generation and you are a straight gamer here, then there is nothing wrong with that. You get the better deal, and you could even get better frame rates. What I do want to mention here is that I will also be testing both of these PCs once I have the RTX 4090. For whatever reason, UPS has decided to delay my package because of weather delays, which I think is complete BS, because there has been nothing wrong with the weather across the country as far as I know. But anyway, if you're interested in any of these PC builds, make sure you check down the description box down below, as I have all the specifications listed on how you can build either PC. Or if you want a personal build for yourself and you want me to build it, make sure you send me an email. I hope you found this content very useful. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy content just like this, make sure you go down and hit the subscribe button for more if you're not part of the big wonderful fan bam already. And if you know anybody else who loves PC and tech, make sure you share this video with them, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. For all the newest updates, make sure you follow my Twitter handle right here, as it is the same as my TikTok and IG as well. Whew, I know it is a lot of information to digest. I want it to be as thorough as possible. And if you have any questions at all with either build or either processor, please feel free to ask the questions down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo signing out.